If you found this video useful, the best way to support the channel and ensure you don't miss our next upload is to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Part 37.10 Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks. As-Salamu Alik. Welcome back, dear listeners, to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. We commence part 37.10 of our insightful, detailed, and spiritually enriching study of Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks. This segment continues the magnificent, detailed description of the eternal reward reserved exclusively for the chosen servants of Allah Mukhlaṣīn, those pure and sincere individuals whose entire worldly existence was dedicated to tawhid and righteous action. We are moving deeper into the magnificent details of the Gardens of Delight, Jannat and Na'im, having already established the broad foundations of their known provision Rizq Ma'lm and their unparalleled honor Ikram. This profound and detailed section, verses 46 to 50, is dedicated entirely to detailing the specifics of the sensual, emotional, intellectual, and social perfection attained in paradise, setting an absolute and transcendental benchmark for divine favor that annihilates all comparison to the transitory and flawed nature of the world. We shall focus intensely on the unparalleled divine purity of the heavenly flowing wine Ma, on the flawless, chastity-affirming characteristics of the companionship provided, and the commencement of their communal and reflective eternal life in paradise, which begins with intimate and comforting reflection on the struggles, tests, and dangers overcome in the terrestrial realm. This entire discourse serves as a crucial spiritual lesson, constantly reinforcing the absolute, non-negotiable contrast between the comprehensive, flawless, and eternal perfection of divine reward and the deficiency, contamination, inherent impurity, and devastating transience of all worldly pleasures, relationships, and the very structure of mortal existence. Kanzul Iman, Quran, Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks, chapter 37, verse 46. A brilliant white, delicious to the drinkers. This verse continues the description of the heavenly beverage. The Ma'in, which was introduced as a cup from a flowing spring in verse 45, Kazin min Ma'in. This verse meticulously details its visual perfection and its gustatory delight. A brilliant white, delicious to the drinker's bay, a ladatan leash, spree bond. This precise description is a powerful theological assertion, affirming that the divine in his boundless capacity is capable of granting an ultimate sensory experience that is entirely purified from any temporal defect or negative consequence, thereby signifying the absolute transcendence, tans, of Na'im. Lexical and semantic expansion of a brilliant white describes the color. White is universally understood as the zenith of purity, clarity, brightness, and stainlessness. The description asserts that the heavenly drink is visually perfect. It is absolutely clear, pristinely unmixed, and entirely free from any cloudiness, residue, sedimentation, or artificial coloring, which are defects common to all worldly liquids, particularly alcoholic beverages. This clear, pristine color stands in radical opposition to the murky, often colored and polluting worldly wineskin, which historically signified corruption and inevitably led to bodily sickness, hangovers, and moral decay. The phrase implies a crystalline luminosity and transcendental purity that acts as a physical mirror to the purified hearts of the Mukhlaṣīn. The sheer aesthetic perfection of the drink itself is a continuous sensory reward that validates the visual discipline guarding the gaze the believer exercised throughout their life in the world. Lexical and semantic expansion of Lodatan leash. Spreeban, Lodatan leash. Spreeban, delicious to the drinkers, describes the profound sensory pleasure it provides. The root word lada signifies delight, intense pleasure, or enjoyment that is profoundly satisfying, exquisitely tailored, and perpetually renewable. The drink provides supreme, exquisite sensory pleasure, fundamentally surpassing any earthly taste experience. Crucially, it is perfected specifically for the palate and constitution of the drinker's leash. Spreeban, fulfilling the comprehensive sensory promise of NAM. This phrase confirms beyond doubt that the drink is created solely for profound, unadulterated enjoyment, serving only to heighten the spiritual state, pleasure, and consciousness of the recipient. Without introducing any possible detrimental side effect whatsoever. Theological analysis, purity, transcendence, reward correlation. The dual emphasis on white-color purity and delicious taste pleasure are not arbitrary details. They are core theological markers. They signify trans, which is the complete transcendence and purification of this heavenly substance from its destructive worldly counterpart. They guarantee that the drink is a real, perfected substance that possesses flawless physical, chemical, and spiritual qualities, completely transcending the contamination and imperfection inherent in the physical world. The purity is dual: physical, no impurities, no sickness, and spiritual, no sign. No regret, no shame, reflecting the perfected state of Tawhid unity of Allah, and equal sincerity attained by the Mukhlaṣīn. The perfection of taste confirms that the ultimate promise of Allah is realized in a way that utterly surpasses human imagination and all prior experience, finally fulfilling the ultimate pure sensory desires without compromise. This drink quenches not only physical thirst but also the deep spiritual longing for perfection and closeness to the divine, thereby symbolizing the ultimate purification of the soul's desires. The whiteness itself, in mystical interpretation, is the reflection of divine light Nur in the blessing, serving as a foretaste of the highest reward. Kanzul Iman Quran, Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks. Chapter 37, verse 47. There will be neither headache therefrom, nor will they be deprived of sense. This verse provides the critical negative affirmation, detailing precisely how the heavenly drink differs fundamentally and eternally from the worldly wine cam. It addresses and negates every possible negative consequence, both physical and mental. There will be neither headache therefrom, nor will they be deprived of sense lafh galan, wala laham, and yansafan. This is the absolute divine guarantee against the inherent flaws, side effects, and consequential suffering that are inseparable from the pleasures of the temporal world. Lexical and semantic expansion of lafh galan. There will be neither headache therefrom. The term gal or gil is profound and comprehensive. Classical commentators such as Qatada and Mujahid have offered multiple, mutually reinforcing interpretations that speak to both physical and spiritual well-being. Physical affliction negated, primarily, negates the common physical consequences. No headache, no throbbing nausea, no sickness, no hangover, the inevitable physical repercussions that accompany worldly intoxication. It signifies absolute freedom from pain, discomfort, or sickness as a consequence of pleasure. Harm to the source and continuity. It signifies that the source itself will never be depleted, exhausted, tainted, or adulterated. The flowing supply and will not be cut off, ruined, or poisoned, a meaning derived from the root's connection to physical harm or stoppage. The blessing is eternally available, pristine and flowing. Spiritual harm, deceit negated. Mystically, it means no element of sin. Moral darkness, deceit, gare, or subsequent regret is contained within the drinking, nor will the substance deceive or corrupt the drinker's spiritual state. Its negation here assures the believers that this drink will only bring pure joy, not pain, impurity, or regret, ensuring a state of continuous, flawless well-being. Lexical and semantic expansion of walahum and yunsifin. Walahum and yunsifin, nor will they be deprived of sense. The verb yunsifin from the root nazefa specifically means to be intoxicated to the extreme point of losing one's mind, staggering, speaking foolishly, behaving improperly, or committing folly, the degrading loss of dignity, reason, and rationale. Its negation guarantees that the mind, intellect, and rational faculties AKL of the Mukhlaṣīn remain entirely clear, sharp, dignified, and fully functional, preserving their spiritual dignity and intellectual capacity. This ensures that the enjoyment remains perfect, rational, and fully conscious. The ultimate pleasure is enjoyed with full clarity, consciousness, and self-control, a perfected state impossible to achieve with intoxicating substances on earth. Theological analysis, perfect consciousness and dignity. Preservation. This comprehensive assurance is a definitive theological statement on the nature of divine perfection and the superior nature of the Akira hereafter. Allah meticulously details these negative differences to demonstrate that the blessings of paradise are entirely purified of the very destructive side effects inherent in all worldly pleasures. The dignity, intellect, and sobriety of the believers are paramount. They will never be seen in a state of shame, folly, or irrationality. This confirms that the highest state of being, even while experiencing supreme sensory pleasure, is one of intellectual clarity and dignified spiritual control, which is the ultimate reward for the sober discipline maintained by the believers in the dunya. Kanzul Iman, Quran, Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks. Chapter 37, verse 48. And with them will be ladies whose gazes are lowered and are beautiful. The focus shifts now from sensory consumption to the profound emotional and social perfection. Introducing the pure, devoted spouses of the believers. It's a complement to their bliss, and with them will be ladies whose gazes are lowered and are beautiful. Wa indaham q utoarfin. Un. Lexical and semantic expansion of wa indaham q yurdakarf wa indaham, and with them implies a constant, honored, and intimate companionship. Suggesting the proximity and presence of their spouses is a central continuous, an essential component of the NAMQ or tuarf. Ladies whose gazes are lowered, restrained is a uniquely profound and beautiful Arabic description. Q. Ate means restrained, confined, or limited, and karf means the gaze or sight. It emphasizes internal spiritual quality, purity, modesty, and devotion over mere external physical appearance. It signifies that their gaze is strictly restrained only for their husbands, indicating unparalleled loyalty, unwavering chastity, and absolute lack of external distraction or desire. This divinely ensured characteristic eliminates all forms of jealousy, suspicion, infidelity, and marital discord that plague worldly relationships, establishing perfect eternal marital harmony and complete peace of heart. Lexical and semantic expansion of un from an describes their physical beauty, specifically focusing on possessing wide, large, beautiful, and intensely dark-eyed features, the concept of her al-ain. This specific physical description is used to signify a supreme, captivating, and eternally delightful beauty that brings immediate comfort, joy, and deep affection to the beholder, enhancing communication and affection within the sacred, eternal bond. The union is therefore perfected in both external beauty and internal purity. Theological analysis, perfect modesty, and complementarity. The description skillfully balances and emphasizes both internal spiritual purity, q-urtu, arf, and external captivating beauty. They are created to be the perfect, complementary companions, sincere, devoted, and delightful, reflecting the flawless spiritual and social harmony that defines paradise. This perfection is awarded specifically to the believers in return for the moral discipline they maintained on earth, particularly guarding their gaze and the purity of their heart. Their internal purity and loyalty are the eternal reward for the believer's own commitment to chastity and faithfulness, confirming the absolute integrity of the family unit and the perfection of pure divine love in paradise. Kanzul Iman Quran, Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks. Chapter 37, verse 49. As if they were hidden eggs. This verse uses a powerful, exquisite, and classical Arabian simile to further emphasize the delicacy, purity, and flawless, pristine condition of these companions, as if they were hidden eggs. Kanahuna bacon maknun. Lexical and semantic expansion of bacon maknun kanahuna, as if they were bayun maknun, hidden eggs. This simile carries deep cultural, aesthetic, and practical significance within the ancient Arabian context. It refers to eggs that have been carefully, meticulously protected within the innermost sanctuary of the bird's nest, or kept under special cover in deep shade, away from the harsh, bleaching sun, drying wind, corrupting dust, or the spoiling effects of human handling. This comparison conveys two key amplified meanings of perfection: purity, luster, and pristine color. Their skin and appearance are described as pristine, utterly untouched, delicate, and possessing a perfect, blemished white, pearly sheen, analogous to the inner membrane of an eggshell, immediately after the outer shell is removed, before it has been exposed to the corrupting elements of air or light. The color signifies a transcendent beauty and luminosity impossible to find in the world, unmarred by labor, age, sickness, or pollution. Protection, quality, and creation. They have been preserved and shielded by divine decree, indicating they are utterly pure, not exposed, not used, and not previously contaminated by any human flaw or worldliness. They are created in a perfect state of eternal freshness, delicacy, and perpetual youth, representing the ultimate, comprehensive perfection of divine creation, specially reserved for the Mukhlaṣīn. Theological analysis, delicacy, and perfection in detail. The simile highlights the physical delicacy and absolute purity of the wives of paradise, confirming that the spiritual and physical environment of Jannat Ananay is one of absolute transcendence, where even the minutest, most intimate details are perfected by the boundless power of Allah. This vivid image of perfection contrasts sharply with the blemishes, flaws, aging, and imperfections inherent in all worldly beings and creations, confirming the profound, comprehensive, and eternal nature of the reward. Kanzul Iman Quran, Surah As-Saffat, the arranged in ranks, chapter 37, verse 50. So they will turn to one another, asking one another. The narrative now shifts to the essential component of the social and communal life and dialogue within paradise, emphasizing the deep, comfortable intimacy, trust, and reflective sharing among the Mukla, and once they are securely settled in their eternal bliss, so they will turn to one another, asking one another, Fai, Akbala, Bajam, Alba, and Yadisbalan. Lexical and semantic expansion of Fa, Akbala. Akbala, Ba. Uma alb bayin. So they will turn to one another implies a spontaneous, warm, sincere, and loving movement of attention and deep engagement. This action indicates deep interest, warmth, and complete sincerity, signifying a perfect, trusting community. This posture contrasts fundamentally with the suspicion, arrogance, backbiting, gossip, and turning away that characterizes the condemned and the social flaws of the world. Yadisbi. Alan asking one another denotes a mutual, intimate, and free questioning or conversation. This dialogue is characterized by absolute trust, deep friendship, shared experience, and profound, stable contentment, allowing them to reflect openly and honestly on the immense spiritual journey, the sacrifices they undertook, the trials they endured, and the ultimate, encompassing divine grace that finally brought them to this perfected state. It marks the commencement of the blissful, reflective social existence where every heart is pure, every word is truthful, and every sentiment is kind and supportive. Theological analysis. The joy of shared memory, community, and finality. This intimate conversation confirms that one of the greatest and most enduring joys of paradise is the secure, loving, entrusting companionship and the sublime ability to look back upon the immense, worldly struggles from a position of eternal victory and absolute safety. The primary focus of the dialogue, as detailed in the subsequent verses 51 to 59, will center entirely on recognizing the magnitude of the grace of Allah and acknowledging the terrors and dangers, specifically the hellfire and the influence of evil companions they miraculously escaped. Their ability to converse freely and openly, without fear of malice, envy, deceit, or judgment demonstrates the perfection of their eternal relationships, profound reward for striving to maintain unity, sincerity, love, and true brotherhood, sisterhood for the sake of Allah in the transient world. The very act of mutual inquiry cements their eternal, purified bond. Hadith, the purity of the drink and the people. The transcendent purity of the heavenly drink and the comprehensive perfection of the company are both physical and spiritual reflections of the purification ISUB. The believers underwent in the world, signifying the attainment of fitra, original, pure disposition. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "When the people of paradise enter paradise, Allah will ask them, 'Do you want anything more?' They will say, 'Have you not whitened our faces? Have you not admitted us to paradise and saved us from the fire?' Then a veil will be removed, and they will see nothing more pleasing to them than looking at their Lord, the mighty and majestic? Related in Sahih Muslim. Hadith contextualization and analysis. Purity of appearance bi'a'ah. The hadith's reference to Allah whitening their faces is directly and spiritually mirrored by the brilliant white bi'a'ah. Description verse 46 of the heavenly drink, signifying that internal and external purification are completed simultaneously in paradise. Their entire being, inside and out, reflects the transcendental purity of the ma, and joy of conversation and fulfillment. The comprehensive fulfillment experienced and expressed in this hadith, where all wishes are eclipsed by the ultimate sublime sight of Allah, provides the necessary context for the comfortable and reflective conversation detailed in verse 50. Their social reflection Yadaspe Allen is based on having achieved the final ultimate goal and recognizing the immense unimaginable divine favor that secured their salvation. We conclude part 37.10, which provided a meticulously detailed account of the perfect, transcendental nature of the rewards specifically reserved for the Mukhlaṣīn. The heavenly drink is established as brilliant white, delicious to the drinkers, causing neither headache therefrom, nor will they be deprived of sense. Their companionship is perfected by ladies whose gazes are lowered and are beautiful, as if they were hidden eggs. Finally, they commence their eternal social and reflective life, turning to one another, asking one another, enjoying the absolute safety and serenity of their shared eternal destiny, secure in the knowledge of Allah's love. May Allah grant us the strength, the sincerity, iqld, and the guidance to seek and attain this level of purity, so that we may partake in these everlasting blessings. O Allah, the source of all purity, delight and anim, and transcendence. Tans. Purify our hearts from the desires of this world as you have purified the heavenly drink. Grant us the blessing of perfect, trusting companionship in the gardens of delight, where we may sit seated on thrones, facing one another, engaging in eternal reflection, sincere conversation, and everlasting praise, and being fully honored by you, O most gracious, most merciful. Ameen.